Can you hear me now?
Yes, far better.
Am I talking to Senna?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. The member of the rich club.
This club that you place me in will only create more problems for me.
I tell you, I'm creating serious problems for you.
Well, let me first say, I know it's today is the 24th of January, but not too late. Happy New Year to you. I hope the year has started well for you.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. And you guys are doing wonderfully well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let me first start with the whole idea of VAT on electricity. NAGRAT's position on it?
Well, NAGRAT is a member of organized labor. And as a matter of fact, let's state it clear that organized labor position on the government going to IMF is very negative. If you recall that we have cautioned government all over the years that the answer to Ghana's problems is not going to IMF, but it is the prudent utilization of our resources and the prudent administration without excesses. We called on government to look at the size of bloated government administration. We called on government to look at the extent of its expenditures. We call on the government to look at the issues of corruption. We call on government to look at issues of reckless expenditure and the loopholes that it allowed to exist in this country that allow resources to seep out without control. And that government ought to be disciplined. And when government is disciplined, you do not need a white man to tell you. So, in principle, organized labor is seriously and totally going to IMF. As you and I, the group of people who are bearing the brunt of the economic malaise that we find ourselves are the ordinary Ghanaian people. The public servants, civil servants, the unemployed, our farmers, our mothers and our fathers who are in the villages and rural areas, they are the people who are bearing the pain and the brunt of this current economic situation. Before today, government has introduced several taxes in this country. Taxes that is choking local enterprise, is choking local businesses. Our sisters, our mothers, and our fathers who used to go out there and trade and come into this country and give it to our young girls and brothers to sell on the streets and within the communities cannot continue doing that because of the duties and taxes imposed on goods that are coming into this country by the same government. In fact, we've taxed ourselves dry, and we are reeling under the yoke of the taxes that government has introduced. And let us also not forget that at the background of the introduction of this myriad of taxes is the fact that government itself contributed by and large to collapse the financial market in this country, where banks and financial institutions have all gone aground, and hundreds and thousands of people have lost their money just because of the way it was done. A lot of people have lost money, and they did not create enough safety nets to protect people's money. So people who were with financial institution, the way it was done, they lost money. People who were with investment organizations, they've lost money. So people's retirement packages have gone dry. As you and I speak, Senna, government owes the Tier 2 schemes 11 months transfer of money deducted from worker salary that have not gone to the Tier 2s for investment. As you and I speak, government owes huge sums of money to be able to pay people their monthly SNIT contributions. So in the background of all these, the government writes to GRIDCO, NETCO, and ECG, instructing them to collect VAT on electricity bills. And let me break that thing down for you so that you will begin to see the realities of what it is. It is not as simple as it sounds. In the first place, they talk about people above the minimum threshold. Look, the minimum threshold means that you can only use 3 LED bulbs and 1 television set. 3 LED bulbs and 1 television set. So the emphasis is on LED bulbs. It's not any other bulb, and the emphasis is on 1 television set. I'm talking about just the simple television sets that you and I use. We are not even talking about the complicated ones. So at the end of the day, tell me, the moment the person introduces iron, the moment the person introduces refrigerator, the refrigerator that I should have to keep my food stuff so I can go to work and then come through traffic and come home and eat, that the moment I have that in my house, I will cross the threshold. And again, let us not forget that the way we live in our country, we don't even live just by the unit or the nuclear family. We have all other dependents who live with us in a real Ghanaian setting. Then you want to come and place VAT on the bill. Now, the second danger that we have to look at is that when you owe electricity bill, then you have a compounding VAT to pay because you owe. So that amount of money that you owe, or they don't even issue you bills and then you have to pay, adds up to the new bill that comes. Amount of money that you are owing is what the VAT will be slapped on. So if you are not careful, after some time, you'll be having compounding tax introduction on the bills that you have. And a time will come where the tax component will even become more than the bill that you are supposed to pay. And you are introducing this tax when you know that all the hundreds of taxes that you have introduced is really choking us to death. So it is this background that Labour met yesterday to send a warning to government and give government ultimatum to the 31st of January. That if by the 31st of January they do not write a letter that is publicized back to ECG, NEDCO, and all those people to withdraw the directive, we don't have any option than to advise ourselves.
So this is Labour saying enough is enough.
Enough is enough in retrospect. Enough is enough in retrospect. In fact, we haven't gotten angry enough in this country. And we have allowed government to go haywire and do what it likes. Look, how much did the IMF bring? $600 million. You think this $600 million is anything to write home about? Why should we condescend so low to the extent that people begin to jubilate on $600 million when this same government told us that they will never be going to the IMF? They told us that we are a proud nation, we are a blessed nation, and that we will never be going to IMF. Today, the songs of IMF is being sung on the streets with bells and cymbals, and they want us to clap for them. The same IMF, a few days ago, it was anathema in the mouth of certain people to mention IMF in this country. Today, you want to draw all of us to come and applaud IMF for giving you $600 million. Can you imagine?
So they have up to January 31.
Absolutely. And if that date comes and the letter is not withdrawn, nobody should blame us. And this one, it is not NAGRAT alone, it is not NAT, it is not TUC, it is not CLOSAC, it is the entirety of organized labor, including UTAG, including Ghana Medical Association, including Nurses and Midwife Council. It's the entire organized labor in this country that will lay down its tools.
Why is this so important to organized labor that you're ready to put down your tools?
Well, the Frenchman will say we have gotten to the cul-de-sac. We've gotten to the point where there is no escape route anymore. It doesn't mean that we're comfortable with all the other measures that were introduced, but it gets to a point where when the issue gets to the neck point, you will have to respond or take action. Because, look, Senna, businesses in this country is grinded to a halt. If someone is not seeing it, then that person is pretending to be blind. That person is pretending to be blind. Pay a visit to the harbor and see the picture that will confront you will tell you a story. It will tell you a story where vehicles imported into this country, you need more than the amount of money you bought the vehicle to be able to clear the vehicle. So I expect you media men, just take vehicles one after the Toyota Yaris, Nissan, that. Get the taxes that are placed on that before you clear your vehicle out of the port. So, you see, look, I'm going to give you a picture, and I don't know whether you also recognize that. In January and February, you see a lot of people registering their cars anew because they might have bought those cars in, let's say, July, August, September, and because they want the car numbers of the new year, they keep the car registered in DVLA car numbers until January. Then everybody rushes to DVLA to register its car. So within January and February, you start seeing the car numbers of the new year on the streets. So now, how many 2024 registered numbers have you seen this January?
None yet.
I have seen only one.
Oh.
How many 2024 did you see? Because people cannot, in the first place, clear the cars, import the cars, let alone clear them. And I'm not talking only about cars, so various items that are imported into this country and are distributed retail to people to come and take and sell, so that my cousin Achufi in the village will also get a little and put on some small table in the room and also sell to people. They cannot do that anymore. So our sisters and our brothers are at home. Not even the self-employment initiative that they used to have, they don't have it. So it is creating a serious economic situation domestically, communally, and then statewide. So our situation is becoming dire. And whilst our situation is becoming dire, every day you hear the imposition of new taxes. Every day. Look, they wanted to introduce import license, where some coochie man will be sitting somewhere and he determines who to give import license to and who not to give import license to. But for the vigilance of the opposition in parliament, that is the type of system that will be running in this country. And you know the ramifications of that. So it is not as if we were comfortable with the myriad of measures that have been introduced in the past, but this time we've gotten to a point where we cannot accept or tolerate any new tax because we are already at a choking point.
And to put all this down to the IMF arrangement that we've entered into, and you are saying we just got $600 million, so, Mr. Carbonu.
Senna, if the country like Ghana begins to see $600 million as anything, then it tells you how low we have sunk. It tells you how low we have sunk as a country. With the resources that let me even tell you something before I even go on to this $600 million. Do you know that a decision is being taken by government to waive the taxes on the mineral companies in this country and free them from the payment of tax?
Waive?
Yes. Abu Jinapong assured them that that policy will be implemented. And then you transfer the payment of tax to the poor Ghanaian man and woman who is not even benefiting from the loot of minerals in this country. What type of policy is that? You see, people have lost track of the realities. And for us to be jubilating, $600 million. then it tells you that, in fact, when top boxers fight in the USA and so on and so forth, and they are paid money, when they have more money than the $600 million that we are talking about here. And we are jubilating that we got. And the $600 million, it's not free money, it is loan. We are going to pay for it. We are going to pay for it. And it is you and I, or our children, who are going to pay for it. And at the end of the day, those at the end of the road, are those who are bearing the brunt of this pain, appreciating pain. Look, go to households. People are suffering in this country. People are suffering. Now, you see certain people in government pretending to detach themselves from the economic malaise that they've imposed on us, creating the impression as if, some of us, they are all part of the issue. They've not even resigned from the government. They are still in government. They could not even take decision to kick out the finance minister. They are still there with him in government. None of them can separate him or herself from the economic malaise that we find ourselves. They are all part of it. They took the decision together. They approved the decision that they have taken. Let nobody create any impression to us, another trick to be played on us, that Mr. So-so-and-so, Dr. So-so-and-so, Professor So-so-and-so is not part of it. When he advised people, they don't listen. No, they are all part of it. Because if actually you do not believe in government policy, all that you have to do is to resign. None of them have resigned. So they are all part of the problem.
Well, Mr. Carbonu, we'll be looking forward to 31st, and we hope that actually, for the sake of all of us, we hope that government listens to you. Your voice is the strongest in Ghana, so we hope that government listens to organized labor.
We yesterday resolved that if by that 31st, that withdrawal is not done, it means automatically that the various unions, because from today, all the unions are supposed to be flying the red flags in front of their secretariats, and by the 31st of January, if that is not done, it's an indication that government is accepted that we engage in industrial action.
That's it. So by 31st January, if the letter is not withdrawn, you don't see a letter saying that we've reversed this decision. By 31st January, you are saying that will be government saying go on strike.
Yes, I'll go on strike on the 1st of February.
Oh, I see. Thank you. Thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you, Richman.
He insists on this. Best of the day to you. That's Mr. Angel Carbonu, who is president NAGRAT. He insists on calling me. He says, what's
your new name?
Richman. Interestingly, he is able to see 2024 registered